So for 30 days, I ate a fairly strict carnivore diet where I pretty much only ate meat and animal products. But I would say it was almost a ketovore diet because I ate probably more cheese than the average carnivore does. And I also snacked on things like pork rinds, salami, pepperoni, and deli meats, which if you're really strict carnivore, some of them won't eat stuff that's processed, but it just depends who you ask. But for 30 days, I ate pretty much nothing but meat. And I wanted to just talk about how I felt and some of the things I noticed because it was a pretty interesting experiment for me to do it. I posted a bunch about it on Twitter, and I have never followed a strange diet like that. I've done clean diets and bodybuilder type diets where I'm counting my macros and I'm eating very clean. I even went almost a full week once where I drank nothing but fresh pressed vegetable juice and ate no solid food. So I've done some pretty wacky diets, but I've never done a keto or a carnivore diet like this before. And there were some things that I was just kind of concerned about, like my bowel movements. I really thought that I would be constipated the whole time. I was just wondering like how I was going to feel, because when you hear like, hey, I'm just going to eat meat and cheese and eggs for 30 days, you're like, this dude's going to die. I also got my blood work done at the end of the 30 days. I found that interesting that I had some good results from that. And if you want to know more about the carnivore diet, go watch a video from one of those doctors that know more information about this. I'm just some dude who followed a trendy diet for 30 days. I'm not an expert. Consult your doctor. I'm just going to talk about my personal experience and things I noticed and how I felt and some of the stuff that most people probably don't talk about or mention about this diet. The first thing I want to say is that meat is expensive. I did most, if not all of my shopping at Costco. I was eating ribeyes multiple times a week, which was awesome because I love a fat, juicy ribeye, but I can't afford to eat that much ribeye all the time. So I would buy 3 to 4 ribeyes that I would have a few times the week, and then I would have different cuts of meat. I ate a lot of ribeyes. I ate baby back ribs with no sauce, of course. I was eating fish. I was eating a lot of chicken. I was eating bacon. One breakfast, I had a bunch of eggs and like a whole pack of bacon. I avoid bacon at all costs, but since this diet allowed it, I was like, hey, I'm gonna eat bacon because I love bacon. I just don't eat it because it's bad for you. But on this diet, it was like, whatever, you can just eat meat. Eat all the meat you want. So I ate plenty of bacon. The bills at the end of our Costco trip were just insane. I mean, like 4 ribeyes were like 50, 60 bucks a pop. That's a lot of money. It adds up fast. Now, I didn't count calories on this diet. I ate when I was hungry and I ate till I was full. And I ate as much as I wanted to, when I wanted to, and I did not stop myself from eating unless I just couldn't eat anymore. I did intermittent fast because that's just something I do. So my first meal every day was around between 12 and 2 in the afternoon. That was the only real diet restriction that I did. Other than that, I don't know. There was probably days that I took in 10,000 calories. Easy. I can throw down. And that's the next thing I want to say, which is I saw a lot of people constantly say how they never felt hungry on carnivore. That wasn't the case for me. I felt hungry all the time. Now, this is how I normally feel. I eat like a fat kid because I was a fat kid at one point in time, and I've always struggled with my weight, and I have a big appetite. And I thought that carnivore might help with that because so many people always say how they're just never hungry. They're always satisfied. I don't know if really I'm just the oddball out, but I just felt hungry all the time. Well, not all the time, but I would say that I wasn't as satisfied as many people say they are when they're on a carnivore diet. I would eat till I was full, but I felt hungry shortly afterwards. It wasn't like I'd eat a big old meal and then 5 hours later, I'm like, oh, I think I should eat again because I'm hungry. It was like, no, 30 minutes, an hour later, I'm like, I need to eat some more. That wasn't enough. And I feel that I packed on a ton of calories every single day. Like I was just eating so much meat, so much protein, so much fat. It was insane. but I didn't really feel very satisfied. I will also say I didn't really lose weight. I was previously in a calorie deficit diet. I was trying to lose weight before I went on carnivore. I was eating clean and working out every single day, and I actually ended up gaining weight on carnivore. I wouldn't say that the weight that I gained was necessarily bad. I didn't gain a bunch of fat around my belly or anything like that, but I did pack on some pounds. Now, mind you, if you know anything about nutrition and bodybuilding and stuff like that, usually when bodybuilders are bulking, if they're not on tests and they're doing a clean bulk, they'll eat a lot of red meat because red meat is very calorie dense. It's good for bulking. And with the amount of red meat that I was eating and the amount of bacon and the amount of fat I was taking in, I don't know if that played a part in my weight gain, because I did gain a few pounds, nothing crazy, but I gained like between 5 and 10 pounds depending on the day. It wasn't fat, I just bulked a bit. So yeah, I didn't lose any weight on carnivore. Another thing worth mentioning is that the first few days after cutting out carbs completely, I felt like I felt tired, I felt sluggish, I felt like I had no energy, I felt like I had no strength. Those first couple workouts on those first few days were really, really rough. I just felt really, really tired, really weak, and it wasn't good. I didn't like that part. And honestly, I knew that that would eventually go away, but if I would have continued to feel that way, I don't think I would have kept going with it, but I knew that it was just the carbs leaving my body. Maybe I wasn't eating enough fat those first few days, but whatever it was, I did not feel good. But with that said, once that feeling went away, I felt great. Surprisingly good, way better than I had expected to feel. I felt like I had plenty of energy. I felt strong when I was lifting. I felt like $1,000,000, and I was really surprised because I felt this way after eating a pound of bacon and like 8 eggs. You know, it's weird to feel so good when you're eating stuff that is technically not good for you. And I continued to feel good for the entire 30 days. I didn't get sick or felt like I had a weakened immune system. I didn't get injured from my workouts or at jiu-jitsu. Even felt better in my joints. And I know that carnivore and keto is also supposed to help with inflammation. I don't know if this is anecdotal. I don't know if this is a placebo, because everyone says that your inflammation gets better on this stuff, but I did feel a lot better. Also, I was taking daily ice baths, sometimes multiple times a day, and that also helps with inflammation and swelling and pain. So disclaimer there, I don't know if that had something to do with it, but overall, I felt great. Now, this might sound pretty obvious, and I remember a few people on Twitter were saying like, it becomes very, very difficult to just eat meat the whole time. Totally true. Did get to a point where even though I was hungry, it was just like, I don't want to eat more burger meat. I don't want to eat more fish. I don't want to eat more eggs. I don't want to eat more chicken thighs. I don't want to eat more meat. Although I do believe I could have ate ribeyes every single day if I could afford it. But I feel that at some point I probably would have got sick of that as well. But I'm not sure, because I love ribeye steak. I love it. I love it. And if I had the bankroll, I would have ate that breakfast, night, and dinner. That would have been the only thing I ate. I would have ate that 5 times a day, but I couldn't afford that. So I had to incorporate other foods, which was fine. But it does get to a point where you're just like, I want to eat anything but meat and eggs and cheese. Anything. I was craving broccoli. I don't crave broccoli. It was pretty bad after a while, but I toughed it out and I kept going. And funny thing is, after doing carnivore for 30 days, then getting off of it, and then going back to like a regular diet where I ate grains and starchy carbs and stuff that I was normally eating before, it's like, man, my gut was just messed up, like gassy, pooping like a whole bunch every day. I don't know. I felt like shit when I went back to a non-carnivore diet. Since I mentioned pooping, I want to say, because this was a big one for me, because there's not much info out there on the whole poop situation when you go carnivore. And I really thought that I was going to be completely constipated. I figured if I'm going to be eating just meat, eggs, and cheese all day long, I'm going to poop once a month. And quite the contrary. I pooped regularly once a day, and occasionally, there were times where I felt like I couldn't trust a fart. And that's just me being real. And I'm sorry to get graphic here, but I feel like this is good information to have. There were some people on Twitter that warned me about this, and I was just like, no way, how are you gonna have the runs when you're just eating nothing but meat? But sure enough, I had the runs, and it was very watery. Maybe too much detail there, but some people might want to know that. So if you're going on a strict carnivore diet, you better have an extra pair of underwear. And luckily for me, that never happened. And if it did, I wouldn't admit it on camera. All right, let's get on to the next thing. I mentioned how it was hard to eat meat all the time, and I will mention that it was very hard to find snacks that were carnivore friendly. I was eating a lot of pork rinds, and then I started eating salami and pepperoni sticks, and Costco had these meat sticks that were all meat with sheep intestine casings, basically just really fancy Slim Jims. I was eating more of those than I'd wanted to, and felt like sometimes I was almost cheating, and that's why I called this like a ketovore diet. And I Googled it, and it said that pork rinds were fine, and it said that pepperoni was fine, and salami was fine, and the deli meat was fine, but that stuff is processed, and it was really like the only thing that I can snack on. One more thing before I mention my blood work. This one was really strange. And I don't know if this is a thing. I don't know if other people experience this on carnivore, but my water tasted sweet. In the 2 weeks when I went off of carnivore and was eating a normal diet, it didn't taste sweet. And then I'm back on carnivore now, and it's tasting sweet again. I kept telling my wife, does this taste sweet to you? Because it tastes sweet to me. I don't know if this is because of the fact that I'm not eating any fruit and I'm not eating any sugar, that just water tastes sweet. I don't know. It's a weird one. It might be all in my head. The last thing I want to mention was my blood work. I had my blood work done on the 27th day of my diet. It showed that I had high BUN. It was towards the end of that line before it's like critical. It means that your kidneys aren't working well. I asked my doctor, and he was like, it's not a big deal. It probably has to do with the diet that you're on. And that's why this time around, I'm eating some vegetables with this variation of carnivore, ketovore. It's not really carnivore because I'm eating some vegetables. It's more of a keto diet now. But the other thing that my blood test showed was my HbA1c, and that went down 0.2, which was a big improvement because I was at like 5.6, which is pretty high and kind of approaching that pre-diabetic mark. My mom's type 2 diabetes, my uncle's type 2 diabetes, my grandma had type 2 diabetes, and I drank a lot in my youth. I had that pretty high, and it went down to a 5.4. My cholesterol was also a little high, but not in a danger zone. It was still better than most people, but it wasn't really in that green area. It was kind of more in the yellow area, but that was it. I had slightly high BUN, slightly high cholesterol, but my HbA1c was lowered. And I think that that was a victory for me because that A1C has been a problem that I've been dealing with, and it's been the same for the last few years. It's been at that 5.6 mark, and it's the first time in years that that went down, which is another reason why I'm kind of going back on this ketovore, carnivore type diet, because I did see good results in that. But I also noticed that when I'm eating a normal diet with starchy carbs and I'm eating just regular food, I tend to take in more food that's just not as good for me. I'll have some cereal and milk, or I'll have some yogurt and granola with some dry fruit in them. And then that opens up the window for like, ooh, there's a cookie. I can have one cookie. Oh, let me take a lick of frosting because my kids are making cupcakes. Oh, let me eat this and eat that. And then when you start going down that slippery slope of allowing yourself to eat whatever you want, you have to have a lot of willpower. And while you may think, well, you need a lot of willpower to just eat only meat, true, but I will say that an elimination diet is a lot easier to maintain. If you tell me I can only eat these things and that's all I can eat, well, I know what I can't eat, and it's a whole lot of stuff that I can't eat. And since I'm a person with a big appetite, it was just easier for me to eat a carnivore diet where I can eat as much as I want, as long as the stuff is on the list, which is just meat, eggs, and cheese, and now a few vegetables that I've incorporated, and I feel great again. And I'm gonna keep doing it. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing it for. I don't know if I'll do another one of these videos if I end up doing it for a really long time. All right, with that said, I think that's gonna wrap this video up. If you found this video helpful or got any value out of it, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know if you're doing keto or carnivore, or if you're thinking about doing it, and hit that like button so that the algorithm can show me some love, and I'll see you next time.